Great brownie.
Handmade by the superintendent. She makes real Renaissance woman.
Don't break the flagpoles, we'll have those on.
I think so.
And we're all saying how who's working on it.
I don't know. Karen doesn't think any flagpoles get broken down there, but I better check it out. So you're going to stop doing it. Yeah. First grade is so.
Well, my reaction to this is, I'm thinking, with the first grade class, believe that Mr. Kitts is the superintendent. Don't clog the toilet, don't break stuff.
Don't destroy the building.
Don't destroy the building.
Keep it clean.
Oh, I wonder whether do not waste food and water or toothpaste.
Do not waste.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's supposed to be a hot item in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was wondering if you even had actual broken flagpoles.
Not me?
We know of it.
Oh, the little ones in the classroom.
All right, well, now that we all are nourished, any other thoughts on the budget process?
Well, actually, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I talked to Louis earlier before the meeting, something that had come up before going to council, speaking with another person about windmills. I think that there is some ways of getting creative. There might be a source of getting, quote, what I was told, a free windmill up at the school, which would then be considered a learning tool, funded by the Department of Education. So there again, it gets an hopefully if it works out, it gets an offset to your electric bill, and you get a teaching tool that's paid for by the Department of Education. So.
And it plays into the fact that all kids think teachers are windbags, so, you know.
Lots of women.
That's a win.
We want you to speak more, louder, as often as possible. We want everybody outside, all the kids screaming to create wind, right?
Now, is this a small windmill that goes up?
Relatively speaking, yes. This is
Were you aware of this?
no, I don't.
No, and that was my first question. I'm not saying anything until I see it.
I'm sure it's small, because it's not like the ones we've been talking about, the other two. Much larger. It's a small teaching tool. However, it does produce electricity. So we should look into something like that. So if you're looking for creative ways,
I will tell you, I have a fantastic administrator, and I mean, Lou probably leads us in always looking for ways that we can save money or apply for money that will assist us. I'll give you a case in point. The Commissioner of Education, Deborah Gist, is applying for this Race to the Top money. I don't know how much you may have read in the news, but I think she's applying for $150 million for the state. And if she gets that money, we will get some because we signed on and agreed to do all of the things in the grant. Of $150 million, my calculation is that, and that's for the term of the grant, which is either 3 or 4 years to implement all of these things. Our share, which would be stretched over that time period, is about $26,000. So there'll be big headlines that, you know, state gets all of this money, but please come ask us how that impacts us. Because we can do a few things, only those that are specified in the grant proposal with that money, that even the $26,000 isn't discretionary. We're not going to be able to offset some expense in our budget. It's going to be specific to that. But we did sign on because $26,000 is $26,000.
26 is 26.
You know, and we did apply for impact aid. I mean, over the time that I've been here, this is my 3rd year here as superintendent, we have investigated in depth many suggestions that have come to us of consolidation, of combining resources, of reducing, our use of power, and who's been really good at that. The principals, Kathy has been working with the Jamestown Education Foundation, and working together, there's $200,000 that's coming to our district for science and math, specifically for science at the middle school. But again, that's not money that's going to offset something. We can't say, oh, well, we're getting it through the grant, so we can cut that in our operating budget. So those are the kind of perceptions that we hope we can help you to understand as we're going into this budget process, that there has been a tremendous amount of work over the last 3 years in investigating possibilities of either generating income or getting grants or cutting our expenses. And I don't know what, how it would be helpful to you as new council members for us to provide you with information about that, so that you would feel confident that we haven't, if something comes to you that, have they looked at this, you would know, yes, they have. Didn't find it feasible.
Don't worry, I'll ask.
No, and one of the things that I want to bring up too is that I'd love to look into that process for a windmill, because part of the NASA grant is studying, for the kids to study alternative energies, one of them being wind. And they'll be studying with scientists and professors at the local college.
To have that go on would be because they are studying how wind turbines
There's a
work.
weather station.
Well, actually, that's a funny thing, because in talking about our larger windmills, we started talking about some of the other things, that, well, what else can you do, the cell towers and. So it gets down to one begots another, and yeah, absolutely.
When I go to Jeffrey, I brought up the wind turbine, and I was at the Bridge Authority meeting, and they're considering a wind turbine on their properties. But along that line, I'm bringing ideas such as the Apache helicopter wind turbine. It's more futuristic, but it has multiple blades that rotate. So it's just this kind of thing. So, but anyway, I'm bringing research, and we'll see. I didn't think of it in connection with schools, but.
Well, the Wind Study Commission has been working.
Yes.
And have they provided the report yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, those sites are researched distinctly, clearly, and so forth. But having a smaller scale.
That's actually where it came from there, but it didn't fit the needs of the town and their sites, because it was too small. So of course it didn't make the cut, but because something that came up during the research, I said, oh, in our conversation, we said,
Are you sure that's being sponsored by the Department of Education?
That's what he told me about. We'll find out. If it's not them, if it's
I
NASA,
ongoing
I'll take my
information from
commitment.
them, and I wasn't aware of that being funded through RIDE.
Maybe the federal department.
Maybe it's the federal Department of Ed.
Oh, yes, yeah, no, not state. No, no.
Oh, okay.
No. State doesn't.
The U.S. Department of Ed, okay. Well, I'll go looking for that.
I'll get you some information over the next week or so.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Can I give you my email address?
Oh, all right. I'll give you my work email, because I send it to my home, I only check it every 2 or 3 times a week.
Well, not having been here in past years, Marcia, you said that previous years it didn't feel like the communication was real clear between the two. What are some areas that could be improved, or what would you like to see?
Well, one thing is for the council to understand the things that we have already looked into. So when we bring our budget forward, we spent a very, very long meeting. Have you looked into this? Have you looked into closing lawn school? Have you looked into sending our middle school kids off island? Have you looked into other possibilities besides North Kingstown? Yes, we have. So, knowing ahead of time what is the council wondering about, so that we're prepared to answer those questions for you ahead of a very long meeting where it's just that the communication wasn't good. The council didn't know, and we assumed they did, that we had done our due diligence in bringing forward the budget that we did bring forward.
You don't need to feel attacked.
No, we don't.
Well, to be honest, I'm glad we're having this discussion, because when we got down to the town hall and had the discussion, it was the first time I heard zero-based increase. And I felt like I was ambushed with that, because what will happen, if I'm going to say, well, that sounds great, but what happens if it costs this much money? So I felt like we were kind of ambushed with that figure. And so to hear that's talking now that, let's be fiscally prudent.